Hello, dear listener. A very good morning to you and welcome to Perspectives, a current affairs discussion program on Agate Radio 95.5 Star FM, Makurdi, Benue State. Our focus on Perspectives this morning is the federal government's creation of Ministry of Livestock Development. President Bola Tinubu last Tuesday approved the creation of the Livestock Development Ministry as he inaugurated the Presidential Committee on Livestock Reforms at the State House, Abuja. According to the president, this move is aimed at enhancing dairy production as well as livestock management in the country in general, and part of it is also aimed at addressing the long-standing attacks on farming communities across Nigeria by armed herders. What are the implications of this move? We shall get to x-ray the desirability of this ministry. Will it in any way address the long-standing attacks on farming communities, as the president did mention? These are the issues we shall try to delve into on Perspectives. I have been joined here on the program by the Director, Veterinary and Livestock Services in the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, Benue State, Dr. Edward Amali. Welcome to the program, Dr. Amali.
Thank you very much, and my greetings to the people of Benue State.
I also have on the program a lecturer in the Department of Animal Production, College of Animal Science at the Joseph Sarwuan Tarkaa University, Makurdi, Dr. Timothy Ikyume. Welcome to Perspectives, Dr. Ikyume.
Thank you, Nathaniel. Good morning. Good morning, listeners.
Later in the course of the program, we'll be joined virtually by a public affairs commentator who will join us from Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. Pastor Dave Ogbole will also share his thoughts with us on the program. I am Nathaniel Nongu, welcoming you to this Monday edition of Perspectives. And if this is your first time tuning into the program, we'd like to inform you it is an audience participatory program which airs between now and 11 a.m. And at 10 o'clock, the line is open for you to call in and also share your thoughts. You can reach us during that time on 0814-335-9292. 0814-335-9292. You may participate also by sending us a text or a chat on 0912-699-9404. 0912-699-9404. You may also listen to this program by logging onto our website on www.agateradio.tv.com. We also stream the program live on all our social media platforms on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, X, formerly Twitter. If you have your Radio Garden app on any device at all, you can also listen to Agate Radio. Dr. Amali, what do you make of the federal government's creation of the Ministry of Livestock Development?
Thank you very much. The Ministry of Livestock Development is a wider, I want to call it the wider version of what we have had before. It's not an entirely new exercise around the country, except that it has not been at the federal level. Even in Benue State, we have had the Ministry of Animal and Forest Resources separated from the Ministry of Agriculture as a dual entity. In many other states around the country, even today, we have such ministries, Ministry of Animal and Fisheries Resources, different from the Ministry of Agriculture in itself. So I think for the sense of professional upgrade, economic boosts, employments, agriculture, let's bring it to agricultural into to the output. I think it's a good move. It's going to enhance production, or it's going to enhance productivity, and I think that is exactly what we'll be needing at this time.
Okay, Dr. Ikyume, what is the desirability of this ministry dedicated to livestock development as announced its creation by President Bola Tinubu last Tuesday?
The creation of the Ministry of Livestock Development, an offshoot from the Ministry of Agriculture, it's a welcome development. you would recall that before now, the livestock department is just a department in the Ministry of Agriculture. And with the creation of the ministry, we are hopeful that greater attention will be shifted towards the development of the livestock sector in Nigeria. You recall that most of the programs and the reforms in the Ministry of Agriculture had always been tilted towards crop production. But with this ministry as a separate ministry, we're hopeful that much more attention will be, given to livestock development in Nigeria. And so it's a welcome development.
Okay, Dr. Amali, both of you have accepted that the ministry is a welcome development, but does it really require the presidency to create a Ministry of Livestock Development separate from the existing Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security before issues of livestock will be holistically addressed in the country?
Not totally, but before this time, there has been such an agitation for the creation of this ministry. First, to professionalize it, and then to boost productivity, as I said earlier. But there are other reasons for this, and I think that's why the idea and the pronunciation came at this time. And that includes the worries we have had over the conflicts we have had between the farmers and the herdsmen, more especially, and I think that's the star point in his speech that day. If you look at the document pronouncing it, so the president made sure that was a topical issue in the creation of that ministry. So if we look at it from that point of view, then we are able to say, it is something that's worth the while. If you have been following, and I'm sure all of us have been, the issue has affected Benue State as a state, nearly more than any other state in the country. So for us, we are supposed to be celebrating this, but I think maybe unless there is more to it that catches the eye. If truly it goes to separate these cases of instances of the crisis that we have had, then I think it is very welcome.
Okay, Dr. Ikyume, I'll request you to also weigh in on this, the desirability of this ministry at this particular time. You are aware of the existing Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. What difference will this new Ministry of Livestock Development bring to bear?
Well, like I said from my opening remarks, agriculture is a whole lot. Having a Ministry of Agriculture it's a whole lot of work, and because of the value that the country is actually seeing in the livestock sector, I think it's important that it is brought out of the agricultural sector, so that much attention can be given to it. And of course, even in the livestock development sector, you still have a lot to do, along the value chain. There are businesses, opportunities that people can begin to explore. And just like my colleague has also talked about, the issue of farmers' health crisis has been on the front burner. And of course, discussions leading to how to resolve some of these problems. One of it was to give priority to livestock development. And of course, if we're talking about livestock development, we're looking at those reforms that we needed to, bring on board in order to ameliorate some of these crises that we've been having. And Benue State has been at the front burner, in trying to address this with the law that came to place, the ranching law. And so the ministry provides a platform where greater attention is given to livestock, other than the agricultural sector, which is a very wide sector that we have to deal with before now.
All right, Dr. Amali. Also, the president did inaugurate the Presidential Committee on Livestock Reforms, headed by himself. I mean, he's the chairman of that committee and co-chaired by former INEC chairman, Professor Atahiru Jega. Do you think it's just a duplication having a Presidential Committee on Livestock Reforms and at the same time a Ministry of Livestock Development?
If I understand that very clearly, the ministry is brand new. As we speak now, it's just a creation. So it's not on the ground running as it were with other ministries now. It's just there. It's just in place as a name at this moment. And I think that committee that was set up as an implementation committee. So at the time, I think by my understanding, the time they begin the implementation of the institution of the ministry, they would have finished their job. At a point in time, they will finish their job when the ministry kicks off. So I don't consider that a duplication. It's an implementation committee, and that's why I say so. So I think they will do their job, and the ministry will get going thereafter.
Okay, Dr. Ikyume. Unfortunately, the president did not define the scope of what will constitute livestock, but you are a professional. You are in the Department of Animal Production. Help us understand, when we talk about livestock development, what sense does it encompass in general?
Well, livestock development generally talks about, animal husbandry, talks about, animals such as, cattle, sheep, goat, pig, and of course, poultry, which is not exactly livestock in the professional point of view. But when you're talking about livestock, you're looking at those domesticated animals that are meant to, to be consumed, by humans.
Okay, and now, Dr. Amali, this is where I'm back to you again. There are fears that this whole creation of Livestock Development Ministry is just targeted at cattle rearing. This is the opinion in public domain. What is your reaction to this?
I think that opinion is not way off the point. I mean, the concerns relate to recent occurrences in the country. There have been situations where mentions are made in relation to livestock activity in the country that the entire country stood up against. And there was time also when issues like the Ruga issue, for instance, they came up. The entire country again stood up against it. So the suspicion is natural that you will look at that and the events, what is on the ground now, and the events of the recent past in this country, and worry that no, this is possibly one other attempt at bringing back what we have dreaded and what we have thought to ourselves was unacceptable. But I want to look at this, that the larger picture is also one that if in the manner in which we are looking at it, if it is implemented, would be of benefit to all of the country. That is aside from the fear that this would be targeting at some specific agenda. So, because I understand that the livestock sector needs a touch. There are other countries around the world that that livestock is the mainstay of their economy. Look at Brazil, for instance. 9.7 they export up to 9.7 tons of beef in a year. Where are all this coming from? That's about 39 million heads of cattle. See what it is doing, looking at the positive side. That's an example of what livestock, its usefulness to a country can be. So if we decide, if the country is really true to the meaning of this creation, then I think that looking at the positive side of it, there will be so much more to gain. There will be a lot of employments in this sector. The livestock, usually ignored, especially in our own parts of the country, will now get a boost. Activities will stir up in the ministry. There will be a concentration of attention in the animal production sector. Usually the complaints go that at the mention of agriculture, nobody thinks about livestock. And the experiences are there to show. Even international organizations, when they come sometimes in the programs that they bring to ministries, you don't find, even if the program has to do with food to eat, you don't find them mentioning livestock. So now onwards, if this ministry stays, we're expecting that activities will change, production will boost, people will gain employment, and the economy will smile at the end. We are just hoping that, yes, the fear of an agenda behind this creation is not there.
Okay, Dr. Ikyume, what do you make of the fears in public domain that, because your scope of livestock, which you mentioned, was broad, the president did not specify that.
Yes.
What do you make of this whole thing?
Well, the fears are bound to be there, and especially when we've had a lot of problems in the past relating to crises between farmers and herders. And of course, there were programs that government came up that people felt they were targeted towards empowering a section of persons who were involved in personal businesses, whereas government was not really investing in persons who were in crop farming, and they chose to bring up programs that were to invest in personal businesses. These fears have been there, and of course they are bound to be there. But of course I know that with the creation of this ministry, the government has gone to demonstrate its desire and the willpower in livestock development. That is the first thing that we should note. And it behoves on us as professionals, as citizens, to begin to set the agenda for government beyond just, having all of these fears. Because it is a new ministry, it is important that we begin discussions that we set the agenda for the president and even the committee that is being put in place to put together a framework that will help in the operation of that ministry. And so with the fears are there, but just like Dr. Amali said, it is best for us to look at the bigger picture of the whole thing. And then looking at the bigger picture, we'll begin to set the agenda for the implementation of some of these reforms that government is going to be coming up with.
Okay, now, Dr. Amali, let me quote a portion of the president's words when he inaugurated that committee as well as made the pronouncement for the creation of the ministry. He said, this sector will boost agricultural productivity, enhance export opportunities, and stimulate economic growth by fostering a robust value chain that benefits farmers, processors, herders, distributors, and consumers alike. Looking at these words, or maybe the context of it, farmers, herders are mentioned here. In a general sense, what kind of value chain with the new ministry stimulate in livestock management that will be to the advantage of both farmers and herders?
Thank you. Let's pick out a dose of herders, for example. And maybe he meant to say livestock development I heard you say agricultural development.
Yes.
Maybe he meant to say
no, he mentioned agricultural productivity.
Oh, productivity.
That the sector will boost agricultural productivity.
Which carries both of them. So I think if you look at the herdsmen in particular now, the herdsmen issue, the committee that is being set up now is meant to look at whatever will help the value chain improve productivity. And that means the committee is set to determine for us, to help to advise government in terms of, for example, ranching. So as it has to do with herdsmen, we are likely, or we are hoping to see that the committee set up will agree on the issue of ranching, that herders should put the animals in one place, take care of them, and the farmers will be there trying to do what they know how to. And the farmers are busy doing their work. And at the end of the day, they can be interdependent. The farmers can bring forward whatever there is as remnants of the farming season, which the animals consume, and there is the benefit from the herder side too, that the farmers can enjoy. So that brings us together at a point and allows the herders to carry out their work in their ranches while the farmers take care of themselves on their land. There will be no longer clashes. So that's the build-up of that value chain, that they will be separated. The two quarreling groups will now be separated to be independent, and they can peacefully engage in their activities. So that is something that the committee that is being set up now can engage in as one of the fallouts.
Okay, Dr. Amali, still with you on this issue, one would have expected, or Nigerians may have expected, that maybe the president would have been outright in stating that this part of the mandate of this the Ministry for Livestock Development is aimed at even adopting the approach of ranching, which is being canvassed on and on. Currently, we have a bill in the Senate that is canvassing that. Unfortunately, the president was silent on this. Do you envisage that this ministry will drive that agenda if eventually it comes to into existence, as it is already pronounced to be established?
Yes, the ministry will drive it. And like I said, the ministry has been pronounced. It's not on stream yet. There is a committee that will make recommendations that will be implemented by this by the establishment of this ministry. So, and being a burning issue around the country today, I do not think that they are going to ignore a prescription for this. In fact, I think it was actually spoken there somehow. So it's left for the committee to do their work diligently. It worries a little bit. What worries me there a little bit is the issue of the membership. Benue State is very, very affected by these clashes. In fact, if not the most affected in the country. The membership I see is just one person from Benue State. I worry about that. And I worry because some other states that we know and some other groups that we know are more members in the I mean, that can affect the outcome. So they should have considered Benue in the membership more than we have. And I think that all is not dusted yet. Maybe that will be looked into so that considerations can come from a variety of views, especially from Benue State. we are thinking that they should have more representation than they have. There are 54 people or more, and we have only one person representing Benue State.
Okay, Dr. Ikyume, kindly give us insights into whether you believe this ministry will drive the agenda for adopting ranching as a best practice for animal husbandry.
Yes, yeah. Why we need to understand that there are a whole lot of activities along the value chain in livestock production, ranging from feed processing, manure and all of that, a whole lot of activities, including past the livestock sector. It is important that it takes a holistic, approach to those strategies that will help in developing this sector. We talk about countries like Brazil producing a lot of dairy products. The truth is that in Brazil, animals don't roam. And so if the president was specific about improving productivity, and then it is important for the ministry to understand that for you to improve productivity, you must adopt best practices around the globe. And if you would have the best productivity in dairy production, obviously it won't involve moving around. The best practice is ranching. And of course, when animals are ranched, it ensures that the freedoms that the animal freedoms that they should enjoy can best be enjoyed when they are ranched. For animals that you're taking from one place, you're subjecting them to severe torture, injuries, pains, and of course, it doesn't augur well, and it reduces productivity. We have a lot of animals in this country. Talking about our local breeds of animals that we can adopt best management or husbandry practices that will improve on their productivity. And so I'm optimistic that if the ministry is meant to improve productivity of agricultural productivity, and then the best that they needed to do is to ranch. And of course, because we keep poultry, I give you an instance. If you allow your layer birds to roam, you won't get the kind of eggs that we get from them within those number of hours that they are meant to lay. If you allow every other species of animal to roam, you're not likely to get the best out of it. And so I'm optimistic that the ministry will drive the ranching agenda because it is the best that can improve productivity. And just like I said, along the value chain, there are several things that we do. When animals are kept in one place, one, it reduces those incidences of crisis. Two, these animals are meant to also, produce manures that farmers would actually use for their crop farms. So even for farmers, when they harvest, there are residues that the animals can also, and it also improves the productivity. So I see the ministry adopting the ranching strategy if they are to drive, the agenda that is set for them to improve productivity of these agricultural products.
All right, dear listener, if you are just tuning in, you are listening to Perspectives on Agate Radio 95.5 Star FM Makurdi. We are discussing the federal government's creation of Ministry of Livestock Development. I have leading the discussion Director, Veterinary and Livestock Services in the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security in Benue State, Dr. Edward Amali. Also on the program is a lecturer in the Department of Animal Production, College of Animal Science, Joseph Sarwuan, Tarkaa University, Makurdi. We've just been joined virtually by public affairs commentator who is joining.
Good morning, Agate Radio. Good morning, all of our listeners.
Thank you very much for joining us here on Perspectives on Agate Radio. Okay, Pastor Dave Ogbole, we are discussing the federal government's creation of Ministry of Livestock Development. You are aware that President Bola Tinubu last Tuesday announced the establishment of this ministry. How did the news come to you?
Yeah, thank you very much for creating a forum for us to, converse on this very, very important topic. Between the year 2014 to 2018 and 19, the marriage of convenience between Fulani herdsmen and farmers within the Middle Belt and Benue degenerated into, bloody conflicts that claimed a lot of lives, and a lot of properties were destroyed. And Benue, for the first time in history, became a state with one of the highest levels or number of internally displaced persons. Over 1 million people were displaced from their ancestral homesteads and are living in IDP camps. We cannot begin to tell the damage it has done to families and then to generations that may not be able to recover from the loss of, breadwinners and people who matter to them. And from that time till now, it has been a journey of many, many solutions proposed by the federal government and also by respective state governments. We saw the matter of cattle routes proposed by the pastoralists, grazing reserves proposed by the pastoralists, Ruga proposed by the federal government, Brazilian grass scheme proposed by the Federal Ministry of Agriculture under Ogbole. We saw cattle colony. We saw all sorts of measures up to the last one, which is the waterways development, issue proposed by the federal government. So this now has come as another add-up to the lineup of propositions that the federal government hopes to be able to bring lasting peace between farmers and herders all across Nigeria. For me, on getting the news, it hit me with the usual note of suspicion that greeted every other program that the federal government has proposed before, because I was at the center of the analysis of this program and also speaking for the national forum and also at the state level. So the first thing I did was to take time to study the provisions of this ministry. And then my concern also was in the aspect of implementation, not just the political will, but the sentiment of Nigerians. And this is what I've discovered. Number one, it is a welcome development if the end result, which is lasting peace between farmers and herders, will be achieved. Because, truth be told, the food crisis we're experiencing in Nigeria today is as a result of the security disruption of the food systems, where people who are in the communities who do most of the agricultural activities that feed the city are not able to go to farm all across Nigeria. And hard in some places in Benue State now that, need to impose taxes on people to be able to go to farm. That has been prevalent in the northwest, Zamfara area. But we see that it is, spreading across Nigeria, even to the Middle Belt. So the food system disruption, which has caused this crisis in a hunger crisis or famine, is as a result, partly, of the insecurity that we're experiencing in our rural settings. So if this policy statement or declaration is going to end that hostilities, end the invasion of farmlands and farming communities, then it's a welcome development. But like I said, this has set Nigeria, at variance in terms of the sentiment and approach to this particular announcement by the federal government. The South is looking at this thing differently from the way the Middle Belt is looking at it, and then the Middle Belt is looking at it differently from the way the North is looking at it. And even the North too, particularly the pastoralists, they have not greeted this declaration or this provision with a uniform sentiment. Mieti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria, MAGBAN, which is one of the foremost pastoralist organizations, has welcomed this development. But another splinter group, Mieti Allah Kautahore, has totally disagreed with this. So you see that even the pastoralists are not on the same page with this. So Nigerians have greeted this policy with mixed sentiments. Maybe the mixed sentiment is coming from the previous experiences, bitter experiences that they have had, and also the insincerity of government package in some of these policies that has come before. So for me, I am just watching right now as the nation deliberates on it, and let's see if the federal government will be able to shift position or create a framework that will be able to harmonize the sentiment of the various aspects of Nigeria on this new Ministry of Livestock Development that is created.
Okay,
thank you.
Okay, Pastor Ogbole, you mentioned about the political will to use this ministry as a driving factor to really address holistically the attacks on farming communities. Do you believe that this ministry, as created by the president, will actually achieve that objective?
Many ministries have been created. In fact, Nigeria suffers from duplication of functions. You will see presidential committees on Niger Delta Ministry, this and that and that. So a lot has been created. But the subject matter is the subject matter of political will, which we are all waiting to see happen. Because the last administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, they treated this matter of herdsmen crisis with kid gloves. And the apparent silence and inaction or inactivity of the government as per curbing this matter seemed to have emboldened, these criminals and criminalities who take advantage of peaceful farming communities, to loot, to rob, to kill, and to maim. And you can see that because of the kid gloves that was approach that was given to this farmer herders crisis degenerated into banditry, degenerated into kidnapping, and it is now a jambalaya of issues as far as the security concern of Nigeria is concerned. But so far, I want to say that the Tinubu administration has demonstrated a measure of political will to tackle this. And let me give you this instance. We are all aware, it came up on the news when the national president of Mieti Allah Kautahori, Alhaji Abdullahi Bodejo, created a security outfit in Nasarawa State that he had the effrontery and the boldness to match with uniforms to the State Commissioner of Police for Nasarawa State. And what was the end result? He is still in detention today to answer for the arrogance, to answer for the effrontery of him creating a security outfit in Nigeria. That has never been done before, that the head of the pastoralist union, will be arrested and detained, brought and then tried, for that kind of a thing. That is a demonstration of political will. And that is what we await as far as the curbing of insecurity in Nigeria holistically, not only banditry and farmer herders crisis, but holistically insecurity is concerned. I want to be a witness that our military is able and our military is prepared. But the political will needs to be given to them, and then the matter of sabotage also needs to be eliminated from our security architecture, so that they can be able to holistically and objectively tackle the matter of insecurity in Nigeria. So when it comes to political will, it is left to be experienced or to be seen how President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is going to handle this matter of the Federal Ministry of Livestock Development. Thank you.
Okay, you started earlier by saying you received with suspicion, the same suspicion some Nigerians have about it. For people like Benue that have been at the center of all this, what kind of direction should the Benue State government key into to take advantage of this ministry and maybe even make proposals to the federal government on areas of implementation?
Number one of the setbacks or the banes of development in Benue State is the politicization of issues. We in Benue seem to have a knack of seeing and viewing everything with political lenses. And if it does not favor the political status quo, or it does not favor our political inclinations, we either will shelve it or we do nothing about it. You see that in the last administration of Governor Samuel Otom, he cried himself hoarse on this matter until he received not just national but global attention. And then the open grazing prohibition and ranches establishment law of 2017 was enacted, which brought some level of respite in the sense that 4 days after that law was assented to, 10 million cattle, 10 million left Benue State. The population of Benue State is 6 million. If 10 million cattle left Benue State 4 days after, it means the population of cattle that were in Benue State were more than the human population in Benue State. And they left Benue State because they were not willing to comply with the terms and provisions of the open grazing prohibition and righteous establishment law. And since there was minimal hoof on ground, there was also minimized contact between the herders and the farming communities. It is hoofs on ground, grazing from one place to the other, and having contact with farmers. That is where this crisis are fermented from. That's the trigger point of this crisis. So the less hoof we have on ground, the less the chances of altercation between farmers and herdsmen. So that continued until, since government is a continuum, he handed over to the government of Reverend Father Hyacinth Ikyume earlier. And you see that the provisions of that law has been relaxed, and the cows have entered back into Benue community, and the killings have resumed. I am trusting the governor of Benue State. He is strong-willed enough to be able to tackle the matter of insecurity, even if he has to adopt other approaches, kinetic and non-kinetic. But let the lives of Benue people become so sacrosanct and so important to him that he's willing to do anything to safeguard and to secure it. And he has demonstrated enough willpower to be able to do that. I pray he does not politicize it in the sense that he is APC and the government at the center is APC, so he just needs to, to pander to the government at the center. But Benue has a peculiar situation. And what is the peculiar situation? We still haven't enforced the open grazing prohibition, and then it provides that if any pastoralist or any effort at ranching will be done, it has to be through due process where people will not feel that their lands are being forcefully taken and given to a government endeavor. That is one of the fears embedded in the livestock ministry, the Ministry of Livestock Development provision. It provides that the state government will donate land. It also provides that the federal government lands around will be utilized. So the question is, from the Land Use Act of 1988, anybody that has stayed on the land before that time is deemed to be the possessor, is deemed to have a title on the land. So the ancestral lands of Benue people belong to Benue people. So which of them will government donate, and which of them will the federal government take to be able to give to the implementation of this? Those are things that Benue State people must have to look into. If we have an opportunity now to key into a policy at the national level, let the policy have a domestication, an adaptation with the federal government. So it's a matter of modification to suit our peculiar realities in Benue State. Thank you.
Okay. Here in the studio, your co-discussants who are driving the conversation, the Director of Veterinary and Livestock Services in the State Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, actually stated earlier that the composition of the committee, because you are aware that apart from making a pronouncement for this ministry, the President also inaugurated a presidential committee on livestock reforms. So your co-discussant here in the studio mentioned earlier that the composition of that committee, just one person from Benue, and he expected that it could have been more. Do you believe you share the same opinion with him that Benue being at the center of this could have actually taken more number in that committee, the Presidential Committee on Livestock Reforms, as inaugurated by the President?
There are two factors to this. Number one, what is the total number of the people in the committee? Those are the things we'll consider.
45.
If the committee has
54.
Okay, the committee has 45 people,
54.
and one person, is in the committee from Benue State. You see, when it comes to representation, quality representation is different from quantity representation. If the one person that is there from Benue State is somebody who has a firm grasp of the peculiar issues of Benue State, and also is vocal enough, yes, a person of influence, a person of experience, a person of competence, a person of character, a person of capacity, and then I think one head that is correct is more than two heads. They say two heads are better than one. Only when the two heads are reasoning alike and are going in the same direction. So I think it is a matter of the capacity of the Benue delegate in that presidential committee that we should consider, not the number of people inside of the committee. And then the next one is that since it is a presidential committee, they have been given terms of reference and operation. Issues may not come to a democratic setting where they have to vote, and then Benue will feel that they are underrepresented because they have just one person out of the 36 states and the 37, whatever. So you discover that most states will have one person represented if it is spread across evenly across Nigeria. Only maybe the federal strata now will have more people inside who are of technical importance to the committee. But I think one person from Benue State is enough if that one person has enough capacity to represent the state and to present the peculiar sentiment of the state in that presidential committee. Thank you.
Okay, on a final note, Pastor Ogbole, the desirability of this ministry, is it really appropriate, the timing, especially now that the Senate is considering a bill for adopting ranching in the country? Is the desirability of this ministry there for us in the country?
You see, when it comes to the matter of desirability of ministry, there are contingency issues or contingency approaches to the operations of government. Matters are created, ministries are created, agencies are created based on as need arises or based on needs. So if the federal government feels that this is a need at this time to be able to address, if you see the bill proposed by Titus Zam that is in deliberation at the National Assembly today and will soon be at the public hearing, you see that the provisions of that bill are in tandem with this ministry. And it looks as if the federal government has gone ahead to begin to put social structures to be able to warehouse the law or the bill if it is eventually passed the law and assented. I have looked through the provisions of the bill. There are just little variations between it and then the current Ministry of Livestock Development that has been announced by the federal government. But it looks as if they are going in the same direction, and the federal government is just going ahead to put social structures that will be able to warehouse the provisions of that law if it is assented. But in my opinion, the federal government should, alongside this matter of Federal Ministry of Livestock Development, be able to deploy measures to curb the insecurity that is threatening, food security in Nigeria today. It is the farming season, for crying out loud, and a lot of people cannot go back to their farms. IDPs in Benue State only have memories and dreams of their homesteads where they farm peacefully and honorably, and they feed from their own barns, but they cannot go there. So from year to year, you see that this matter of food crisis is going to aggravate. What was the price of rice last year? What was the price of beans last year versus the price of beans this year? Pepper went on rampage. Tomato became mad. And all of those matters, should we be experiencing that in a nation of 260 million with one of the biggest agricultural potentials, to feed Africa? We shouldn't. So immediate measures, mid-term measures, long-term measures. As for immediate measure, curbing security. Mid-term measure, see to it that we go through this public hearing, and then we tweak the law to be able to suit the sentiments of people, particularly North Central, that is most heat, and then the Federal Ministry of Livestock can come ahead. It's a matter of priority. Curbing security now, go through the law process, and then create the ministry to warehouse the law later. I believe it should be the sequence of events. Thank you.
Pastor Dave Ogbole, Public Affairs Commentator, who joined us from Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. We thank you very sincerely for sharing your thoughts with us on Perspectives.
Thank you very much, Hadith Radio.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Have a great day, Pastor Dave Ogbole.
You too.
Yeah.
And God bless Benue.
Amen. Thanks. All right, Dr. Amali, I'll give you 1 minute each to make comments and just brief reactions on some of the submissions Pastor Dave Ogbole made. Do you share any dissenting opinion with him on any of the issues?
He hit it absolutely, and he was loud and clear. I think pertaining to the response he gave, with reference to what I mentioned, what I thought about, I think he gave a good answer as well. But in that sense, I think the experience that one person has and the confidence that is built around representation, it may still be better that we have more than one. It would give us room to think that, yeah, the adequacy of representation is there. But when we see the way it is now, it looks like the voice that we have been given is not total. I'm not saying that the person who is there would not be able to do the job, but with others around, with some more, he can do so much more. One person can't know everything. One person can't come around all the experiences that he needs. He needs support, in my own opinion. I think he also, if we are, the entire exercise is not built on convincing us that we are going to be secured. It's all going to be a waste of time. What I know is that we are giving the committee a chance to carry out a job that will sanitize the entire arrangement we have now. It is of fear. Most of the youth that engage in strong farming in the villages have gone to Lagos, have gone to Ibadan, have gone out to where they can resource food alternatively. And this is collapsing the system at home and even in the country, going by the fact that Benue produces so much food for this country and even beyond it. So we are waiting, and I think that gives room for us to be patient a bit to see what the committee comes out, because the terms of reference of that ministry is basically going to be spelled out by the committee.
Okay, Dr. Ikyume, also your reaction to the submissions made by Pastor Dave Ogbole. He touched on a number of issues. Is there any that you disagree with him on, that you want to put in another perspective?
Well, I don't quite disagree with him. Looking at the composition of that committee, for us in the animal science profession, we've had discussions before now on how to develop the livestock sector. And if you look at that committee, membership of that committee, basically, irrespective of their state of origin, they also have professionals. So I expect that that committee will rely on the professional advice from members of that committee, in trying to address some of the terms of reference that have been handed over to them. And so irrespective of where representation is coming from, because we have professionals, we have the likes of Placid Njoku, we have the registrar of NIAS on that committee, and there are several other, Demo Kala from Bauchi is also a professional, and we want to believe in their professional advice. Beyond sentiment, I hope that they provide professional advice to that committee in trying to drive the terms of reference that have been handed over to them. And so we want to trust that that committee will actually depend on professionals that are there, to come up with, reforms that will best drive, the agenda, of developing that. And then you also mentioned about food disruption. And of course, every one of us is aware that there have been disruptions. Before, the communities cannot really, farm what they need to eat. And he also talked about people having to pay in order to go to their farms. Sometimes there are demands on local communities to pay certain amounts of money before they are able to go to farms. Most times they are not able to pay. And so there have been a lot of food disruptions, which on the immediate term, government needed to see what can be done to address, some of these challenges. And so I want to quite agree with him on the short term, the medium, and the long term, And let me also say that the committee that is being set in place will also have to, try to look at, the peculiarities of some of the places that we have around, like talking about government lands in Benue, federal government lands in Benue. I think in driving livestock development, we should rather look at where we'll provide the framework and the support to individuals who are interested in investing to do that, and not trying to get land to develop and hand over to people who are doing personal businesses. But once there's a framework, and then once there is support for persons who are in business to do their businesses, it will help, take away the suspicion. If, for instance, Benue citizens are interested in dairy production, they can acquire their lands. They can also get support in order to develop the dairy industry. But if government tries to see how they can get lands and then hand over to a section of investors, that is where the suspicion is. And so it is important that they must be also conscious of some of the reforms that they'll be bringing as we get along.
It's okay. Dear listener, if you are just tuning in, the program is Perspectives on iGate Radio. We are discussing the federal government's creation of Ministry of Livestock Development. The Director of Veterinary and Livestock Services, Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, Benue State, Dr. Edward Amali, is here with us. I also have a lecturer in the Department of Animal Production, College of Animal Science, Joseph Sarwuan, Tarkaa University, Makurdi, Dr. Timothy Ikyume, and earlier on, one of our guests who featured virtually on the program, a public affairs commentator, Pastor Dave Ogbole, featured virtually from Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. You may call in on 0814-335-9292, 0814-335-9292. If you connect with us, tell us your name and where you are calling from. Then you go ahead and make your submission. Please keep it very brief. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Welcome to Perspectives.
Thank you. I am on Dashi Gabriel from Ojakpa Mandoka.
All right. Go ahead, sir.
I'm the guest in the house. The topic you brought this morning is a very welcome topic. I will thank iGate Radio for the topic. My own submission is this. The decision taken by the federal government to create this department in the Ministry of Agriculture is a welcome development. Because if you are a father of two, and the two are fighting all the time, you have to devise a means of separating them. This time now, farmers herders fighting. I think it's going to be separated forever if understanding is taken. So I want the federal government to do it instead of pronouncing it and then go away from it. That the only thing they have to do is to take up the decision and then, as people expect it, let them do it like that. Thank you, sir.
Okay, understood, Gabriel. Thank you. Thank you. But it will be proper for us to make it clear that it's not just about fighting, farmers, herders fighting. I don't think there's any such thing as fighting between the farmers and herders. It's purely a case of...
Hello?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Morning to you.
Yes, this is Kwaza Vincent calling from North Bank, Makurdi.
Okay.
Yes, I greet the guests in the studio.
Thank you.
Yes, creating a Ministry of Livestock Development will only be a welcome development if that ministry has to address the issue of farmers' herders crisis in our community, because it has been in our community for a long time. So I think for President to create that ministry, if only it can address the issue of farmers' herders crisis, it will be good. But if it only gives undue advantage to herders over other cropping farmers, it will not work well. Because now the bill of ranching has been before the National Assembly, but we don't know why it is still there, and the president decided to create this ministry here. So we are just watching to see what will happen. But my prayer is for the ministry to help address the issue of farmers' herders crisis in our society. It will be a welcome development. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Kwaza Vincent. Thank you. That's a prayer of every Nigerian too. So the issue is addressed holistically. If you're not able to connect on the studio line for calls, you can also do a text on 0912-699-9404, 0912-699-9404. Please remember to include your name and where you are sending your message from. Good morning and welcome to the program. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Perspectives.
This is Dambaka calling from High Level.
Okay, Dambaka, you are close to your radio set.
I'm concerned.
Hello, Dambaka, you are close to your radio set.
We need livestock. And I greet all the other personalities in the studio as well. With all due respect. We are talking about livestock. They gave a definition of livestock. I want to extend it by my own position. That anything that has life that is not a plant can be considered livestock. So we can consider fish. So we can consider what you call it, poultry itself. I remember the last time I was to buy sitting in a very special meeting in Benue State, that what time is trouble to materialize and make development operation, so that at least the eggs that we eat in Benue State will come from our land. So everything that is living, I would like to call it livestock. So you can call the other thing crop stock. So when you do that, what Benue State needs to do in particular, coming from the background of we have suffered so much attack because we have grass which cows like to eat, is to set up a committee that will follow up on this matter. I remember there was a former federal commissioner for Minister for Justice. He said during his campaign days that he will have a commissioner for Abuja affairs. So that person will follow up on this development and minute by minute, and so that we'll be communicating with Benue State so that we are not left in any disadvantaged position. As soon as it starts and you notice it, you begin to cry out and begin to protest and begin to demand change.
Okay.
So when that is done, we will not be following in a long distance to be crying when the water has already swallowed us.
All right.
That is my position. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Adam Balkan. We appreciate you. The line to call is 0814-335-9292. 0814-335-9292. Good morning.
Good morning, Nathaniel.
Welcome to the program.
I am called to do Abraham, calling from Bayonge. Wait.
All right.
I greet the guests in the studio.
Thank you, Corner.
Thank you.
I think we are discussing the creation of a livestock ministry by the Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration. Like the other callers have said, if this creation of the ministry is here to help us address the issue of header farmers, it is going to be a welcome development. And I think that we have agreed that the best way to address the issue of header farmers in Nigeria is ranching. So if this ministry is coming on board to help facilitate ranching in Nigeria, then that will be very good. But if it is just to give the other sector of the Nigerian people advantage over us, so that they will come and collect our land and give it to them, so that they will be doing their own personal business, I think that will not go well with us. Thank you.
Okay, Colonel Todo, thank you for your submission. All right, Nigerians are speaking, they're voicing their fears. We hope the authorities are listening and we also act accordingly. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Thank you for joining us on Perspectives.
This is Polycarp Zaka calling from Nongu.
Okay, Polycarp, make your submission.
My regards to my people in the studio there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Polycarp.
Thank you. You know, my contribution is not much. It's not quite different, but I'm appealing to the federal government, which in person of Ahmed Tinubu, that the ministry he creates should not be for his own selfish interest, should be for the masses. You know, there is some other ministry and department they have created for their own selfish interest. So my appealing to them is the ministry should be on their selfish, not should be on their selfish interest, but the benefit on masses. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Polycarp. Thank you. Not selfish interest, but the interest of the people. And I think, anyway, your government will say every decision taken is in the interest of the people. So, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good to have you on the program.
This is Patro Julius calling from North Bank.
The name is who?
Patro Julius calling from North Bank.
Okay, Julius, but I can't get the other name. Patro?
Patro.
Okay, Patro. Good. All right, Julius, go ahead.
Like Ogbole rightly said, Nigeria, we are found of duplication of duties. Like he started example of the Niger Delta and the ministry and all of that. Here in Nigeria, we have Ministry of Agriculture, which takes over both the livestock and the crops. And if the creation of the livestock has come now, why now? Because as we speak, and like he said earlier, that a bill is in the National Assembly now waiting for implementation. Waiting for to pass into law to curb this problem of livestock and the farmers and the pastoral problem in Nigeria, particularly in Benue State. And now that the bill is there and all Nigerians are looking onto it for passage, then all of a sudden the ministry of that has come. And you know very well that before that presentation of that bill at the National Assembly, the Northerners, the far Northern senators were against it. And they vowed that they will ensure that that bill is not passed. And now the Ministry of Livestock is created, and the formation of the Presidential Committee is full of them. I will not say something fishy about that. There is something coming up. And again, if the ministry is to curb the problem of farmers, herders problem, I don't think the ministry can be able to do that. There are duties the ministry has to do. And I think it should have been better for us to create, even if there's a problem, Tinubu is looking at the problem of solving farmers' herders problem. I think we should have looked into creating North Central Development Commission. I think that would have been better for us than even looking at the ministry. We already have a Ministry of Agriculture, we have Department of Livestock, and they have been doing well. So why coming up now to make it as a ministry? I don't think there is something very important for us to look at. I suspect something fishy is to come up. So to me, that ministry should not even come up at all. If I'm given opportunity to stop it, I would have done that.
Okay, you have just made your feelings known as a Nigerian, your right of expression. Thank you, Julius, for your thoughts. We appreciate you. All right, the line is still open, 0814-335-9292, 0814-335-9292. Send us a text message on 0912-699-9404. But the suspicions are coming stronger and stronger. Dr. Amali, the last caller, Julius Petro, you listened to him closely when he mentioned that given within him as his power, the ministry should not come up. And he did not just stop at that. He made a recommendation about the North Central Development Commission, which incidentally a bill is also in the Senate to that effect. What do you make of these from his submission?
Yeah, I think we have been, myself and my co-discussant here, we have been looking at this whole event from the very professional point of view. And even at that, I personally rounded it off with the fact that given what we have been through in this state, it is certain that something will stir up our suspicion. What exactly the way Mr. Julius put it, what is the sudden cause of this? We have this in the National Assembly undergoing consideration. Are they doing it in anticipation of the full takeoff of this ministry, so that once it is passed, the ministry will implement? So it is quite in place. We want to see transparency. He mentioned that the participation from one side of the country, that's the north, the participants are plenty. And they are seen to pursue the same cause. And that's what I was saying earlier about the participation from some of the states like Benue. So I think he's hit the nail on the head once again, just as David Ogbole did. But I think the government has a lot of work to do now. Convince us that they have no agenda that is hidden, that will continue to instill fears into us when we are supposed to have solutions. We need to have solutions, not the creation of fears in us. The government should make it be more transparent what is happening. All is happening in a rush, and the people are tending to get more and more confused about it. What I know, or what I believe rather, is that the government of President Tinubu, up until this point, has been fair to Benue State. At least, if we listen to nobody, we listen to His Excellency. The governor of Benue State, Reverend Father Hyacinth Alia, he's always told us that whatever he does in this state is in full support of the president of this country. We want to stand by the assurances he's given us and believe that at the end of the day, this will work out to human expectations, not to the areas where we'll be destroyed. We want to be assured of peace in our land. We want to be assured of the day when it comes that you close your eyes and walk to the farm. As of now, you are afraid to be armed to go to the farm because you don't be caught in it. And then you are afraid of attacks. What kind of life is this? Let them give us the assurance of total security. And this is possible, we know.
Okay. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you for holding on. Welcome to the program.
Okay. Please, my name is Brother Emeka Oji.
Emeka Oji, where are you reaching us from? Okay. Go ahead, Emeka Oji.
No, I didn't start from the onset.
Yes, we are discussing the federal government's creation of Ministry of Livestock Development.
Yeah, just like many people have expressed some strong misgiving about the whole solution. The federal government has purported that the ministry will solve. To me, I've been thinking over the whole matter. This is a kind of terrorist group that comes to Benue and other places during a certain period in the year to attack and kill with guns. So I was wondering, how can a ministry solve this kind of problem? It's just like America when they were attacked in 9/11. Can you imagine America going to create a ministry for such a problem? What did they do? They created a special ministry to tackle this, they call it Department of Homeland Security, something of that nature. They didn't create a ministry for let me know if same word, but they created a department that will tackle these people who have a tendency to come and kill. These people are not just coming for peaceful purpose. These people are carrying guns, sophisticated weapons, and you are creating a Ministry of Livestock. So I wonder the correlation between this ministry that are created and these people that are carrying guns, moving all over the place, killing and looting and burning and destroying things. How will this? I've been wondering. I don't know whether the experts in the house have said something along that line. So this is the question I've been asking myself. And I've been asking that question, people that I have met. What will this ministry do to curb these people coming in to kill and to destroy and carry gun? Are they going to jump them like a permanent secretary or a worker in the ministry but it's arming people that are armed? These people need a special security, these kind of people, so that people will have peace and quiet. Thank you. That's my own submission.
Emeka Oji, thank you for your submission. We appreciate you. All right. Dr. Ikyume, these suspicions are becoming very strong from the opinions of people. And you know, generally, when people begin to raise suspicions about policies of government like this, would they see light of the day? This ministry, the president has pronounced, but do you see it achieving any objective near with part of what the president may have stated? So many things remained unanswered that the president did not make publicly known. But react to some of this.
Yes, like we said from the beginning, the livestock sector has been neglected for quite a long time. And that is why we didn't experience a lot of reforms over time. And rather, the neglect has led to what we have today. People roaming, with cattle, causing problems here and there. Just like people have talked about the need for this ministry as a duplication. When you neglect a sector for quite a long time, the creation of a ministry, like I said from the beginning, provides an opportunity for you to give greater attention in order to do some catch-up, with what you have done. I also gave instances in countries that are doing well in terms of dairy production, because if the president was specific about dairy production, you must understand that the best way to improve on productivity of your dairy is to ranch. And that is why I think that this ministry should address ranch. It should adopt ranching as the best practice of improving livestock productivity if they intend to achieve what the desire of the president is. And with the misgivings that we have, there have been several policies or plans of government in the livestock sector in the past. But we have always maintained that whatever the federal government comes up with, if it does not conform with our law in Benue State, and of course it does not work in our environment. So whatever the government is going to be coming up with, it should be something that will be in conformity with the open grazing prohibition and ranching law that we have in Benue. It's a law that has come to stay. Whatever policy of government that will contravene that law, I don't think it will see the light of day in Benue State. And so for me as a professional, just like I said from the beginning, we should welcome the creation of this ministry because it provides us with the opportunity to give greater attention to livestock development. But at the same time, the ministry must be aware that the best practice is to ranch. And whatever reforms that they try to come up with, if it does not conform with the laws of our land, of course, it is not possible for those reforms to work in our situation.
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you for joining us on Perspectives.
Yes, sir. I'm Teenage Jeremiah calling from high level.
Okay. Teenage Jeremiah, we're listening to you.
My greeting goes to the guests in the studio, especially my Oga, Dr. Amali.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. My opinion is the same with others. The creation of this ministry, I think this is not something they want to start lying the anti-grazing law that is before the National Assembly. Many people are killed in my local government, in Gowa local government, particularly in Senge area in State Bogo. And I'm thinking this ministry will come out, or the federal government presidential committee, I'm thinking they will come out with an opinion that let the government create a land for ranching for cattle headers. And I think in our state, I've looked everywhere. If you want to create ranching for government, for ranching and for headers, where is the land? Even we ourselves, we are fighting for land. Where would we get the land? So for me, I am afraid of this ministry. That is my opinion.
Thank you.
Okay, so if you are afraid of the ministry, what should be the solution? Maybe
The solution is let the National Assembly pass the law. When the law is passed, then the government should assist, if not to assist the headers to acquire land. It's not to government to give land, to acquire land for them to lay their cattle. It will be a good something, but it's not for government to give them land, because we who are farmers, no land has been given to us. Anywhere we go to farm, we are buying land. My people in different states are farming, they are buying land. They are hiring land, they are not giving the land by government. So that is my opinion.
Okay. Thank you very much for your opinion, Tina Jeremiah. We appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
All right. Dr. Amali, this is also where the problem stems from. Many Nigerians believe that livestock business is a private endeavor. But over time, government has shown serious interest in this sector, especially with recent issues of the crisis, and now we have a ministry. Is there any specific objective the government is seeking to achieve with regards to showing interest in livestock, which people believe is a private business?
Yes, thank you. I want to remind you that we have a law in Benue State here. We have a law banning open grazing. If you want to join me, we'll ask, because this was a major reason that was given by MACBAN that increased the intensity of attacks on our people here. They will not accept the law. Is there a place where the law set by government is flagrantly disobeyed? So, Benue has a law, and the intention of this law is strict. You will be surprised that it is meant to improve productivity as well. It is meant to maintain peace and order. Do your business right. The business is private. This is so clear to all of us. And why would someone not accept it? There is good and clear provision for anybody who wants to ranch in this state. Go to the local government, to a particular local government of your interest. Ask the individuals you see there. Point to the land that you are interested in. If it is up for sale or if it is up to be rented by you, you discuss at that local level. Discuss at that is the community level. Discuss at the local government level. Then come to the state. We will consider and approve. And I am in a position to tell you that not even one person, one headsman, has approached the office of the Director of Livestock Services seeking to establish a ranch and asking for land to do so. So, if at this level they are not, they have chosen not to obey the law, they have chosen because they have cancelled ranching out of their thoughts, and then we take this document to the National Assembly, we are still bothered that. No, I just been optimistic here that the law, according to Senator Titus Zam, will be passed. Well, we are just hoping so. Suppose it is not. Now, let us just, there was somebody who was asking, the law is not for security alone. It is for productivity. It is for the economy. It is for the well-being of everybody. So I mean the ministry now. The man was talking about the ministry. So there are other issues attached to that. By the time we started here, I think we were discussing in saying that we were being professional, as I said earlier. So we're looking at the positives of it, enhancing the economy, enhancing productivity, helping in employment areas, and generally putting into consideration the well-being of the people. So what the security aspect is just part of it. So if we are discussing this issue, it is good to look at the other side too. If the government concentrates its effort, this time knowing that livestock is important to us, and gives more attention to it, at least there will be a boost in it. It will help so much. But in the case of Benue, we have to be alive first. We have to be alive first. So just like I said earlier, depending on what the committee will do, the proposals from this committee, we are just standing on one leg, hoping that it comes out good in the name of the security of the state. We can do so much in Benue. This message we have carried to the nooks and crannies of this country and beyond. Allow us to do. Allow us to farm. And nobody stops you from heading your animals as well. Let's do it peacefully. We are just praying now that whatever they are going to do or they are proposing at the national level, we will not just throw away. Because you don't throw away the bathwater with the baby.
Okay, let me interrupt you briefly. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you for holding on the line. Welcome to Perspectives.
It's Benjamin Tamba. Benjamin Amile.
Benjamin Amile, where are you calling us from?
Yes, from Makurdi, Benue State.
Which part of Makurdi, please?
Ikyume.
Okay, Benjamin, go ahead.
For me, I see Nigeria government is confused of what they want to do. They're supposed to do.
Benjamin, can you change your position? It does appear the network at your end is really unfriendly, so we really cannot get you clear. Yes.
Okay. Sorry.
Please continue. We're listening to you.
Okay. Yes. Benue State is located as agrarian state. And agriculture needs a place that it's a nature of God that gives Benue State to be an agrarian state. So what we need is for government to understand that we are the people that need to farm. And agriculture, what Nigeria is suffering today from the oil problem is because they do not understand that Benue State government is agrarian state, and the weight of Nigeria need to be agriculture. And the flag that Nigeria is having is agriculture and agriculture. So agriculture is our potential needs that Nigeria need to follow. And then agriculture need to locate in a place. So the whole Nigeria need to put eyes on Benue State so that they will have their weight.
Okay, Benjamin, please tie that to the livestock ministry creation by the federal government that we are discussing. If Benue should drive its own agricultural objective, relate that to the livestock development it's talking about.
Okay, see, I understand that ministry of agriculture is already, so I don't see need of creating that ministry again, because the ministry of agriculture covers everything. If government want to do the real thing.
Okay. Could that be all from you? Thank you. Benjamin, thank you very much for your submission. Dr. Amali, I'm so sorry for interrupting you. I'll allow you to conclude your thoughts. You were landing on the point that at the moment Benue needs peace, and you see that this ministry may not drive the objective for that peace that Benue needs?
Yeah, I'm seeing that because it's like an egg that is yet to hatch.
Yes.
It may not. So much of what you have heard is on the side of the fact that they are not interested. We are not interested, but because we are like an egg that is yet to hatch, we want to give the government a little time and see what may happen in the course of these discussions. We'll have two of them basically the bill that is in front of the assembly and the committee that is being set up for the implementation of the establishment of the Ministry of Livestock Development. Me, I say that with the intensity of the drive, there's likely to be a lot of input into this ministry, and Benue stands to benefit strongly. Now, but our own worry, the government can take a step to quicken the steps, or the House of the Senate can quicken the hearing of this to give us more confidence, because we are getting tired. There's delay in such a very, very sensitive matter. So if they do this quickly, now now our minds will settle a bit, and we'll begin to get convinced that the federal government is so true to its words. It will allow peace to reign, and that people can eventually become confident.
All right, let's take some messages before we come back. I have there's some of them who have come in our text message box here, and this one says, "Good morning, Nathaniel, and your guest in the studio. The creation of the Ministry of Livestock Development is just a well-calculated plan to cause more fight between crop farmers and herdsmen to enable them take away all the good land in Nigeria and hand it over to a certain group and nothing more." Vincent Akko from Wadata in Makurdi. Okay, Vincent, thank you for your message. Another one here says, "I am Tina Jeremiah Tese from High Level. I am still confused about this Ministry of Livestock. I hope this is not a plan to sideline the anti-grazing bill that is before the National Assembly. I pray that this presidential committee will not force farmers out of their farming lands." Thanks. Okay. Thank you very much, Jeremiah. Another one here says, "Good morning, Nathaniel and the guests in the house. My name is Abite Teso from Logo 1 in Makurdi. I thank the federal government for the initiative of creating Ministry of Livestock Development. It is a welcome development, and the committee that the federal government set for the ministry should be proactive in taking decisions to harmonize and bring a lasting solution between farmers and herders. Thank you." All right, Abite Teso, thank you for your message too. Another one here says, "One of the implications and the effect in the creation of the Livestock Management and Development Ministry is that we do not have power and authority. As such, the government owns our right that pinpoint for our common good. Relatedly, we hear His Excellency President Tinubu for the development stride." Isaac Utsoa from Ngoma. Okay, Isaac, thank you very much, even though your position on the message is not too clear, but we thank you all the same for sending in your message. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Morning to you. Welcome to Perspectives.
Yeah, this is Sunday Mirenyi calling from BSQ.
All right, Sunday Mirenyi, make your submission.
Yes, my submission is this. I want to say that just like we Nigerians, let us have a little patience and see how this Ministry of Livestock will be. It's only when this livestock ministries only focuses on cow that we can say, no, they have deceived Nigerians. If not, when we talk of livestock, we talk of both the pig, the poultry, the goat, the sheep that people have. Those that this ministry cover all this area, even the fish, the ice fish, people fish bones and all those things. This ministry is supposed to cover all those things. If the implementation is well, is going in the right direction. So I believe that what the president is going into is to make every Nigeria to know that the livestock are part of the resources that Nigerian can add to the country economy. And again, I want to say that, like we say, implementations always matter. If they implement this ministry very well, it will help. That is my submission.
All right, Sunday Mirenyi, thank you for your standpoint. We appreciate you. All right, Dr. Ikyume, looking at the whole scenario that we have here, earlier on, we talked about the Presidential Committee on Livestock Reforms and also now the ministry being created. The livestock in general, why is it focusing more on herders? Because the president specifically mentioned herders. Why should it be the direction of herders in particular being considered for the issue of livestock management?
I think that the president would have specifically mentioned herders because at the moment the problem of herders and farmers is on the front burner. But I think that the bigger picture in the livestock sector is just beyond cattle. Let me also say that some of the fears that people have expressed about federal government trying to get our lands and then handing them over to...
I'll beg to interrupt you very briefly. I will come back to you to expand on your thoughts. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good to have you on the program.
Yeah, my name is Peter, calling from High Level.
Okay, Peter Ode.
Yeah. You know, I want to thank every one of you in the studio there.
Thank you.
But the only thing I want to say is this. I hear the comments of many people. But my own is an encouragement to let us, Nigerians, really anything, let us think positively. Because if you see the program of the president now, you discover that man has good intention for this country. And I want to advise him, Mr. President himself, that if he creates this ministry, eventually, let him head the ministry so that we monitor everything that is going on there. So that we people will not, because the mind that people have negative towards that, so that we prove the people wrong. Himself, he know what he's doing. He will not just like Christy to come and collect it, because all the problems that is on the ground now, he know. If people are not happy, himself also will not be happy. So the aim of that ministry will not be negative the way I'm saying it. So let us think positive and pray towards that. At the end of the day, we'll be happy. That is my take on that, please.
All right. Thank you, Peter Ode. Thank you. Okay, Dr. Ikyume, kindly continue your thoughts. Yes. You were speaking to us.
Yes, I was saying that, the land in Nigeria basically is administered by the state. And there is no way the federal government could invade, to grab land. And like I've said before, livestock entails a lot beyond just cattle that are being herded around. In Benue State, we value pig production a lot. We consume a lot of pig. And probably in some of the reforms that will be brought about by the creation of this ministry, Benue State can decide to kill into those reforms that will support production of pig. We mustn't necessarily produce cattle in Benue State. Cattle could be in other states. And it is not possible for every state to be involved in every species of livestock in this context, including poultry and then fish. And so for us in Benue State, there are livestock species that are very important to us, and we can choose to adopt. And for us, for me, it is important for us to tailor the discussions, towards setting an agenda, for that reform committee to understand that, yes, a ministry has been created. Yes, you are members of that reform committee, for livestock development. And so the committee must understand that not every part of the state will be involved in every species of livestock. The committee should also understand that different parts of this country also have, of course, the open grazing prohibition is not just in Benue, we have it in Ekiti. And there are other states that also, promulgated these laws. They should also understand that there are peculiarities in some states. And the bigger picture is the one that we've been talking about, the bill that is before the National Assembly. I understand it is before the committee. It passed second reading. It's before a committee. It's for the committee to fast-track attention. And if in the end we have an open grazing prohibition law, it will go a long way in trying to dispel the fears. I know once you are not able to dispel fears in the minds of the people, no matter how good the policy you are bringing, it is not able to sell through. And so you must do that confidence building. And one of the ways we can build confidence is to try to see that bill sees the light of the day. And once it sees the light of the day, people will begin to see a lot of confidence and sincerity in some of the programs and the policies that the committee and the ministry will be coming up with. that are geared towards livestock development. And of course, you know that livestock development is key. With the current variability in even our climate patterns, you would understand that crop production is beginning to fail us at some point. And you will understand that livestock are like a bank for rural communities, where people used to own livestock. They will sell, they will pay school fees, or September when students are resuming, they sell, they pay offset school fees and all of that. And so livestock development is very, very key in addressing a lot of economic problems. But just like I have said, yes, the fears are there. And so because the fears are there, we want to advise that the Livestock Reform Committee must note that a lot of Nigerians have greeted the creation of that ministry with mixed feelings. And so there must be confidence building. And part of the measures to build confidence is to see how that ranching law can be passed. And then part of the confidence building should be that livestock development does not entail government acquiring land for certain persons in the country for their private businesses. It should concern programs that would provide some form of grants, some form of framework for people to do personal businesses, and not for government to be acquiring land and giving to people. Of course, like the other caller said, you don't acquire land and give to crop farmers. And so why should you do it to livestock farmers? And so it is important that in the reforms that committee will be looking at, it shouldn't include state government donating lands, to federal government to develop ranches. It should rather target at providing grants, providing support for individuals who are ready to go into ranching. And the committee should also note that it is not every state that must adopt, livestock, every species of livestock, sink and hook, as some of the policies that will be coming up. Just identify which state have comparative advantage for which species of livestock, and then you're trying to see how you could support people who are investing in those areas, in order to develop livestock production. For us in Benue, pig is very valuable, even in our traditions, in marriage, and we consume a lot of it. And so if the reforms that are geared towards, improving productivity of the pig, it will be a welcome development for us in Benue. And if peradventure there are persons, even herders from outside of Benue, who would want to invest in cattle production, let it be that they abide by the law. Let them acquire their land, not government acquiring land for them. And that is a way to build confidence in all the reforms that the ministry and the committee will be coming up with moving forward.
Your phrase of confidence building is what I will request Dr. Amali to speak on. Some of the confidence building strategies he advanced, what kind of peculiarities does Benue have that you will want then to the move about this ministry to be adopted, particularly the peculiarities of Benue in terms of confidence building?
Number one of it, I think, let them take the bill on ranching seriously. If they do, our hands are open to welcome anybody, any businessman from anywhere. If you like, come from France, anywhere. There will be provision of land as long as, there will be possibility of provision of land as long as you are ranching the animals. If you do that, we shall be able to say, yes, something, these people, they are listening to us and they are interested in peace. They are interested in safety of the lives of the people, So, if we see security men, and these security men are not looking at us differently, because, not saying it from Dr. Amali, but I think this is something that we have had to contend with. You don't look at security men with so much hope, as was the case in the past. This is not in accusing anyone, but this was what we had on the ground. I mean, it was like a situation had come up where we were needing to be suspicious. You see a security man whom you should embrace and say, yes, the safety has come. But it turns out to be on the other side. Or it turns out to be a situation where you are ignored and left in the hands of the people who hack you down. So we need the presence of this security, we need to be assured that they are true security for us. You know, if you go back to ranching, if you begin to tell us that, yeah, we are here as a ministry to provide for you infrastructure to develop livestock. Yeah, we are here for productivity of livestock. And you show it to us. Why would we not agree? Why would we not be confident? But when it comes to the issue of land and taking over of land, that today is very apparent to us. Even farmers from the village calling us now understand that their lands are actually being taken. Because what would you explain to us? If you can't go to the farm, you are in the farm, you are killed there. And you don't go away. You are killed on the farm, and then your land is occupied. What intention is that projecting? So we need to be assured that we are able to live on the land and even work with the investors, work hand in hand with the investors who are here to develop the agriculture that we practice. And we want development. So I have not heard our governor mentioning that anybody should leave. I have not heard so. If you want to do this business, you are okay to do the business. In fact, there is room, even by the law that most others detest, creates the opportunity for you. I mean, when we say land is not available, it's not available for grabbing. But if you want to ranch, then you need to go through the right process. You are strolling through a village, you see a plot of land that you can use. Talk about it. Dialogue with the owners. Because the way land issues are here in this state, every piece of land you see is owned by someone. Just as you go along the vast land you see there, by the time you step on 1 inch of it, you see the owner. I mean, if the land is fine for you, you dialogue on it. And the government is set to support you. The government is set to support you if you're a true and genuine investor. So we want to be assured. We are like other people. We have a conscience. So we are interested in anything. We will be happy. Why would we not want a ministry that is going to concentrate on production of livestock, that is going to help us improve our cattle, help us engage in breeding, help us build ranches, for example? Why would we not be interested? So the worry is legitimate. And the only solution to this is to make it clear to us by the authorities that are concerned. Just come out clearly. As of now, it is apparent that the situation is not so clear. So we are worried. And then we are expecting answers from the sources that I mentioned earlier. Thank you.
All right, Dr. Ikyume, our time is no longer there, and this will now be your concluding words in all of this. This ministry, by the pronouncement of the president, it has come to stay. The quality of the kind of professional that should be appointed to man this kind of ministry to drive its agenda. Speak to us about that. This will be your concluding words.
Well, the Ministry of Livestock Development will not lack quality of persons that will be needed to man. I'm sure there are a lot of professionals out there in the livestock industry that they can be appointed to man, the running of that ministry. And so I want to believe that the president won't lack. But I also want to believe that the persons that are appointed into such positions should bring to bear their professionalism and should dwell less on sentiments or sections where they're coming from. If whoever is appointed, if you are a professional, you act professionally, I think that it will go a long way, in helping the country and also improve are taking place at the federal ministry. It is important that at the level of the different states, the state governors also begin to see how they can create a framework that would begin to work alongside the federal ministry in an attempt to develop the livestock sector. Because I know that in the end, it will be good for every one of us, to be good for the country, to be good for the livelihood, for rural communities, and for each and every one of us if we develop the livestock sector.
Okay, Dr. Amali, your parting words in 30 seconds, please.
What I would say last is it's so good to hear that our people are coming together with one voice and they are standing up to express their worries. Benue is a land of peace, and we have never been known to start a crisis. So now they are seeing, and in very, very civilized manner, they are expressing their fears at something that is directed at them. I want to thank them, or everyone who made calls, and those who are at home with the same thought, who have not called. What I will say is that they should be on a clear lookout, as they have done recently, and then express them in the way they are expressing. I'm sure anyhow government is going to hear. So generally, their messages are carried because, yes, we're sharing, everybody around is sharing the same fears. But I want to let them know as well that it's not everything that is looking out of this issue now that may be negative. The other components are going to be very, very favorable, as I have seen. Let us be smart and wise, looking out at whatever is coming out from the center, because I just believe that the president by himself will mean good for us. So hearing the things that the outpourings from here today, he will look inwards again.
We hope so. Okay, that would be a fine place for us to leave it on the program. I must appreciate the Director, Veterinary and Livestock Services, Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, Dr. Edward Amali. Thank you very much indeed for your time.
You're welcome.
A lecturer in the Department of Animal Production, College of Animal Science, Joseph Sarwuan, Tarkaa University, Makurdi, Dr. Timothy Ikyume. I appreciate you for coming on Perspectives.
Thank you for having me.
Earlier on, we had a public affairs commentator who featured virtually on the program from Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, Pastor Dave Ogbole. We are grateful to him too. And to you, our listener, for your listenership. We can't thank you enough. Unfortunately, we couldn't take the many calls that were waiting on the line because we needed to allow the conversation to flow. Kindly bear with us. Perspectives will come your way again Wednesday with another edition. My name is Nathaniel Nongu. Have yourself a great week and goodbye.